What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Smash JT. One of my favorite game publishers out there just made a gigantic whoopsie on Twitter. This is coming from me, somebody who is a former game tester, game master, and somebody who has worked tremendously hard in the video game industry for multiple years. Their corporate policy for giving credit to the hard workers of everyone who contributes to their games is not a good look. JT. Xseed Games, best known for probably Ease and Trails of Cold Steel, is a game company publisher that brings a lot of games from Japan, translates them, and brings them to the West. That's what they're doing with Trails of Cold Steel, and there was a situation recently where one of the former employees of Xseed Games, Brittany Avery, who wrote, "Oh, LOL, the PS4 ending credits for Cold Steel 1 were updated, so my name isn't in them." So I'm guessing it's the same for Cold Steel 2 as well. To which what Xseed replied to her concerns: "We appreciate the hard work of everyone who contributes to our releases, but it is and always has been company policy that only current members of our staff are credited. We have never credited staff for their individual roles or if they have left the company." That is a load of BS. I used to work as a game tester for Sony Online Entertainment, and I was credited in over 15 video games that I made while I was there helping out on the teams. Some of the games I had a big impact on. Some of them I just spent a few hours overtime on a couple of nights a week working on the team, testing on them, and doing everything I could with them. And I was credited on all of those games no matter how much work I put into them. And it was a really reassuring feeling to know that my hard work, no matter what was needed, when it was needed, how long was needed, I would be getting credited for it. I could put it on my resume, a feather in my cap, and say, here's what I've done, here's what I've worked on, here are the games I've been a part of. And what Xseed is doing is complete BS to somebody who's worked in the game industry. Brittany Avery, I truly feel bad for you. Someone who's worked very hard on translating Trails of Cold Steel 3, and then Xseed brings it, publishes it, she's no longer at the company. They remove her name from it. They do not have her as part of the end credits. And while it may not seem like a very big deal on the surface, this is something that's a part of a far greater problem in the video game industry. Here's Genovi, one of my friends on Twitter. Not a good policy, and by not good, I mean it's embarrassingly bad. Alpha Omega Sin, your policy seems rather effed. The biggest problem is with the social media person, which I do feel bad for having to come forward with this, is they say it's their company policy. They're saying it like they can't do anything about it. Our hands are tied. This is what the policy is. You guys make the company policy. You are Xseed Games. Change your policy. Give proper recognition to the hard workers in the video game industry that put the time and effort and multiple hours of overtime, blood, sweat, and tears on these games. Just because you're re-releasing it doesn't mean they didn't have a part in the game. This is an absolute joke. It's a bad look for Xseed, and honestly, if they don't change their policy quick, they are going to be facing some serious backlash in the entire video game community. A lot of people echo my sentiments of saying, your company policy sucks. Change it. Stop doing that. Lots of people think that this is the worst policy a company could have. The atrocious thing about the video game industry and many companies in it, Jim Sterling has talked about this, is that they push their workers extremely hard. And yeah, it's a job. People choose to do it. But honestly, the direction it's been going has been bad over the past few years. Extreme working conditions, insane hours. A lot of these high-quality AAA publishers, not even Xseed, looking at Rockstar and Bethesda and other companies that push their workers, make them work forever on these games. The least they could do is make sure the people who are working on these games get the due credit they deserve. This is a terrible look for Xseed Games, and honestly, I'm surprised they publicly went forward with this tweet. We appreciate the hard work of everyone who contributes, but we don't actually care about you, which is why we don't credit you. That's how I translate what they wrote here. This is a bad look by Xseed, and unless they apologize and backtrack on their policy, update Trails of Cold Steel, and move forward with a completely different policy that's more in line with giving credit to the workers, they are going to be facing a lot of backlash from the public. Anyways, that's where we stand right now with Xseed Games and how the community is reacting to this terrible corporate policy that they think is completely normal. I can tell you guys, from working in the game industry, this is not normal. Getting credit for the games you work on, you get it no matter what you do, and if they re-release it, republish it, whatever they do with it, if you worked on the game, typically you get credited for it. That's why you work on the games, to be able to put that feather in your cap, to be able to tell other companies, this is what I've done in the past. By not including Brittany on this, they're basically saying she had nothing to do with the game. And that in itself is a terrible approach to the video game industry at large. Xseed Games should be ashamed of themselves. This is bad. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.